Hi, welcome back to the channel. It's great to see you. So today I thought we could talk about rose hips. So rose hips are the fruit of a rose bush. They come on after the petals fall off in, late summer, and you can harvest them and you can make teas, jellies, beauty products. If you've ever heard of like rose water, things like that, it's usually made out of rose hips. Here out in my woods, there is a lot of rose hips, not as many as I would like, but there's quite a few. So a couple of rules when you harvest in the wild. First, know exactly what you're looking for. Make sure if you've never done it before, make sure you study up on it so that you don't get mixed up with something that maybe is not so good for you. The second is that we have to remember that the food that is produced in the woods and out in the wild is also food for animals. So when you harvest, the rule of thumb is to like harvest 50% or less. That way, like rose hips, things like that. Birds eat them through the winter so that they can stay warm and they have food for the winter. So we don't want to take like all of them because then the birds wouldn't have anything left to eat. So, those are just a couple of rules of thumb that I like to follow. And I always thank the plant when I harvest from the wild. I feel like it's very important. The Mother Earth, she provides a lot of things that we need, that we can eat, that we can use for medicine, food, beauty products, just all kinds of things that we can use. So it's always nice to just say, hey, thank you. So that's just a few of the little rules that I like to try to follow when I'm out harvesting. Maybe there's some rules that you like to follow. If there are, leave it in the comments below. That would be really great to hear what you do. Okay, so let's get going. When harvesting rose hips, you usually want to wait until at least after the first frost, because then they're a little they've actually for sure that they've actually ripened all the way. You don't want to start picking them too early, just like any other fruit. You don't want to pick it early. You don't want to pick it late. If we walk over here a little bit further, here's a really good specimen of a rose vine. So it's green, of course, like most rose vines. And then here you can really see that thorn. That's a thorn. That will rip you up. So you always want to watch out for these thorns, and they are all along the vine. See how they'll just catch your clothes. Just imagine they'll do the same thing to your skin. So you always want to be careful with that. Right? That's a thorn. That's a Desiree. That's a little thorn. And so these are the hips right here. This is the fruit that the rose bush produces. Different rose bushes produce different size hips. This is a wild rose bush, and it makes little white roses. So the hips are going to be a little bit smaller. Sometimes they're like a little red brown. If you can see, it's already starting to make buds for next year. So the rose hip is really versatile. Oh, look it's caught me. Imagine if that was my skin. That would really hurt. So we got some more hips over here. And this is a beautiful vine right here. All of this is probably off of one main bush. It's probably off of one main vine. Look, you can see where the birds have been eating them. See, the birds like to eat them. So we won't mess with that because the birds have been eating it, and that one, and some back here. So you know what? We'll just completely leave this one alone. It looks like they've been eating on this one, and I do not want to take their food source. So we'll go find another one. I have a wild rose bush right here. The birds have not eaten these yet, so I'm going to go ahead and pick some. Like I said, you only really want to take about 50% of whatever you find. The very first time I ever came out and harvested rose hips, it was in my other house before we moved here. I had a bunch of wild roses there too. That's when I learned how mighty those little thorns are. You always want to keep in balance with nature. When you take from nature, you don't want to take everything because there are other parts of the ecosystem that need to eat as well. So as long as you're always generous and don't take too much, the earth will keep reproducing for you. So sometimes it's really easy to get a honeysuckle mixed up with a rosehip if you're not really sure what you're looking for. So I'm going to cut a honeysuckle right here, especially like if the leaves aren't on there. Usually it's pretty easy if the leaves are on, but if the leaves aren't on, so I'm going to cut this one. And I'm going to show you a few differences. Come over here with me. This is a honeysuckle berry. It's a little redder and it's juicy. See how it's juicy? This is a rose hip. See how it's a little darker red? It reminds you of the rose red, right? They're a little firmer and they have seeds inside and little hairs. So if you see those little seeds and hairs, that's what a rose hip will have inside. And a honeysuckle looks more like a smushed tomato or something. So the honeysuckle does have a couple of little seeds inside, but if you see the difference, you can see the difference and the difference in color as well. And the rose hip also has this little section right here. The petals had grown. A honeysuckle will not have that. And a honeysuckle is more round like a ball. And if you look at the rose hip, it's a little bit kind of sort of more oblong. The wild rose hip. Now, I don't know about any other kind. I just know about the wild ones. All right, guys. Well, thanks a lot for watching. I hope I showed you something. I'll take these in and process them and get them all cleaned up and ready to go. And then I can do another video on how I make rose oil. I use it for my face. I use it for a moisturizer for my face. I just recently ran out of some that I made last fall. So that worked out pretty good. I didn't grab a whole lot. It's kind of cold out here, so I got my coffee. I'm going to head back in the house. I'm going to process these up and I'll get started on that other video. I just want to say thanks a lot for watching. I always appreciate your time. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more of my content, just hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.